okay, I ain't never got drunk and had like a hangover, but if I did drink, I feel like that's what a hangover would feel like. Another one that I did was an overnight job. I tried to do that, y'all. Terrible, okay? It was, girl, let me tell you, that did not work. Right, so there's 4 different people in this story, right? And they all was telling me something different, y'all. Yeah, I went back to college, and that kind of just, that threw me off, you guys. That ended up being a complete waste of time. This little job I'm about to talk about right here is the reason why I'm even doing this work from home. Is why I stopped looking. I don't plan on looking no more, honey. All money ain't good money. So, you know, I don't care if there is money involved. I'm not chasing after it. I'm not chasing the opportunity. Nothing that I've went after, like since my last Home Depot job, has worked out. None of them have worked out. None. So if I really need some money, that's what I'll do. Keeping my expenses low is one of the reasons that, you know, that's one of the main biggest reasons I'm able to do this. Hello. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I'm Miss Erica, and in today's video we are going to talk about, you know, having doubts and delays when trying to go your own route and be self-employed and, you know, just kind of doing your own thing. While I'm talking to you guys about that, I'm going to be doing some productive things. So it's going to be a little productive work from home and chit chat type of vibe. Before I even like get into what I'm about to be doing and get into the story, let me just tell you first and foremost, I kind of planned to go this route 2 years ago when I left my last job, when I was working for the Home Depot, and so I was a cashier, and I have plenty of vlogs on that that I've posted, me working there. Those are some of the top videos even on my YouTube right now, so those will still be out. But yeah, like after I left there, I left there because I was moving. So after I moved, first of all, like where I moved to was just like a whole different ball game, a whole different feel. Not many like good jobs, not many good paying jobs. If that, like, let me tell y'all, like last year I saw a position. It was like this job at this like game store, and yeah, they really had that out on Indeed for like you were getting $8 an hour. It was like either $8 or $8.50 or something like that. But I'm like, that's crazy, you know, that's dang at minimum wage, which minimum wage for South Carolina is still $7.25, which is ridiculous. Like, but like $8, $8.50 an hour, there's nothing you can do with that. What you would make in a day, like what I would make in a day, I would probably turn around and spend that the next day on my lunch break. Like that's nothing. It's nothing, you know. So it's crazy. But yeah, you guys, listen, I didn't fully plan it. I did plan to do this, but a lot of things happened in between that kind of messed up my route, because in 2 years I was expecting to be a whole lot further than what I am right now. But so now I'm about to get into the story. But so while I'm telling you guys that I'm gonna be doing my little flashcards, so this is basically to help me keep up with content. Along with this page, I do have a separate real estate YouTube channel and other real estate social media accounts, and so this is how I manage it. So this one here says organized by day. Real Yasherica is my like @ name on all those channels, but like for this by day, I have a different like theme every day. And so what I'm going to do, I'm not finished with them, but I do have like all of them. So this is the day and all of like the platforms, but I have to go back and put like what time I'm supposed to post on like each day for each platform. So that's what I have here. And now I'm about to make a separate one, a separate set of cards, so that I can organize it by platform. So this time, instead of having the day of the week at the top, I'm going to have the platform at the top and then the days of the week, so that I can look at it from every angle, you know. But if I wanted to just focus on the day of the week, I would pull out these cards. If I just wanted to focus on what time I should be posting for one platform, then that's what I'm about to be doing now. So I'm going to be doing this while I'm giving you guys my little story time, and just, you know, dealing with it overall, because I've been going this route. I've been dealing with doubts and delays and stuff for the past 2 years, pretty much straight. It's always been something. Like, I had like 4 different jobs that did not work out in the past like 2 years since I left my last job. Like, because I have been trying, which getting a job now is hard overall for everybody now, because it's like all of these jobs are out, but ain't nobody really hiring and whatnot. And so, and you know what's crazy? It's the ones that they be choosing, the ones that they be hiring, that be like turning around and like leaving within the next day or so. That don't stay, and then it's like they have to keep doing the process over because they just don't be picking the right ones. But so yeah, you guys, I'm about to go over this story now. Y'all, I'll tell you the truth, I don't even know if I remember it in order. So I'm gonna just have to go with, I'll just pick one, right? Okay. Alright, y'all, so I'm starting myself off. Alright, so let's start with, I'm gonna start with the shortest one first. So, matter of fact, let me turn to y'all so I can do this right. If you have not seen on my channel already, I do work within the real estate field. I have been a real estate agent for the past 4 years. I have not been active that entire time. My license has been active the whole time, but I was not like actively working with clients. There's a lot of things that went down with that, like as far as like I went back to school, so yeah, I went back to college, and that kind of just, that threw me off, you guys. That ended up being a complete waste of time for me, being that I already had a career. So yeah, I wish I didn't do that, because it was a waste of time and it was a waste of money, because I had already sold a house, right? I had already sold a house, and so, you know, I got my little commission, and I ended up spending half of that money on going back to college, you know, to pay my tuition and whatnot. So that was a waste of money. That was like $2,000 that went down the drain. Completely went down the drain. But so yeah, I've been a real estate agent for 4 years, and I'm doing something different now. I'm trying to I'm still in real estate, but I'm not a full-on real estate agent. So I haven't launched my service yet, but I'm getting ready to launch a service that I'll pretty much be helping people find agents and like helping them picking a good agent. So I'll be a referral agent, which means I refer agents to different clients, you know, buyers, sellers. I'm working on adding renters to the list, because I focus right now, I just want my focus to be residential, because that's what I'm most familiar with. So yeah, so anyway, I do real estate. Now, there was this job that I applied for, right? And so when I barely see back up some, but okay. When I applied for it, it was a position where it was like one of these 55 and older type of neighborhoods, and so they were just looking for like a personal assistant, because a lot of their stuff were like on paper and like handwritten and everything. And so, you know, they were just looking for an assistant to kind of help them get like, you know, everything digital pretty much. you know, and update it. So all the, you know, client information and stuff like that. And so I applied for it, and I did hear. I heard from the lady, and I went in for like a little interview and whatnot. And so, long story short, it didn't work out. I didn't get it. Like the interview wasn't. The interview, first of all, the interview wasn't even much of an interview to begin with. It was like, she was just like asking basic information, like where I was from, like if I was, you know, familiar with the area. It wasn't really nothing about. She didn't really say nothing about. Well, she did say a little. She did say that the position would mainly be about just transferring information, but it wasn't. It was very short, to be honest. It was very short, and then it was like a phone call that she had to take while I was there and whatnot. And overall, y'all, it just wasn't given, but it didn't work out. But you know, the reason that I even went out to apply for something like that to begin with is because I am familiar with like real estate, and I thought it would be like a good opportunity to work within that field, because that is a field that I want to know more about, you know, for communities that are for ages 55 and up. So, you know, and then I think they wanted like help with planning the events and stuff for that community as well. So yeah, that's one of the real reasons I kind of, you know, jumped into it or wanted to jump into it. So that was the main thing. That was the main thing, but that one didn't even work out, and I feel like, I don't know, it was a little discouraging, but because I don't, like I said, I don't even know the order anymore, because this stuff was, most of these were last year. So but yeah, it was like, and it didn't, okay, yeah, that's another thing, it didn't have much hours, and that's something that I was looking for, because I was determined to try to make my career my number one priority again. So I definitely didn't want nothing full-time, and I didn't want nothing that was like part-time to the point where like my schedule would be all over the place. Because let me tell you, when I was working at Home Depot, they had my schedule all over the place. Even though I was part-time, I was like, I would have like 20 something hours this week and 30 something hours the next week, or I'm opening one day and closing the next. Y'all, it was getting aggravating for me. Well, it wasn't aggravating, because at that time I was making my money. I was making my money, but at the same time, it was like I didn't have any free time or extra time to work on my real estate career. So I was there working at the Home Depot for like 4 or 5 months. Yeah, I worked there for like 4 or 5 months, and yeah, I had to leave when I moved. But after that went down, I just couldn't I couldn't work on my career while I was juggling all of that, because when my hours are all over the place, it's like, it's hard for me to, I wouldn't be able to have like set hours for my clients. So if a client called me and like, yeah, you know, when are you available to, you know, like talk on the phone, or, you know, if they wanted to schedule something with me, I wouldn't have, or, you know, okay, let's say see a house, or, you know, even if you're selling, even when you're working with sellers, that's the thing, like, even when you're working with sellers, there's still work to be done that's not just like administrative tasks. So for example, if you do like an open house is like when you have the house open to the public, you know, where everybody can come at like one set time, or, you know, so it may be, open house maybe like 2 or 3 hours, right? So let's say from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., right? So anyone can come out and look at the house and ask information about the house. That's an open house. So that's something that you have to do, even though you're not showing 50-11 houses, you know, to one client in one day. That's still something that you have to be available for, you know. So I was not able to do that, so I just had to kind of let my job take over, and, you know, that became the main thing. It became the only thing. My job became the only thing, because I had no time whatsoever to make that work. So that's the reason why. That's another reason why it's been harder for me to find something, because I'm like, I'm just tired, you know, like I've been licensed for, like I said, for 4 years, but I haven't been, after I went to college, like that just threw everything off for me. It threw everything off for me to the point where, like I said, I spent half of my commission on going back to college. So by the time that semester was over, like I had to work because I had no more money. I had no more money, so I had no choice at that time. And then so even though I was part-time, like I said, it still affected my schedule. So I had to start looking for something that was more, you know, open. After I left that job, you know, I learned that as an experience that part-time still don't mean you're gonna be available. So I had to look at more specific details, you know. So another one that I did was an overnight job. I tried to do that, y'all. Terrible, okay? It was, girl, let me tell you, that did not work. That did not work. So it was like for a retail store. It wasn't like your basic like Walmart or, you know, but it was a retail store and a grocery store. But so I applied for it and whatnot. I went to the interview and everything, and I was hired and everything. But I did do, I think, like 2 or 3 days of training, and then I went in for my first night, and y'all, I was so like tired, like, cause I'm not a night person. I'm a morning person. I get up early usually. My schedule has changed. I used to could get up easily at like 5 a.m. but now it's not it's not that easy for me to do anymore. So now I probably get up more 6 and 7, but you know, so I'm still a morning person. But trying to do a night schedule, like I tried to do a night schedule so that I would be available in the daytime. But y'all, that one night threw me off so bad, because when I was doing like the training, that was, you know, regular hours. But that first night, like I had to be there. I think I was there from 10 to 7, I believe. Or was it 10 to 6? It's probably like 10 to 6. Or something like that. But y'all, when I tell you, I did good. I was yarning a lot. I ain't gonna lie, I was, but I didn't fall asleep. I was busy. I was stalking. That's what I was doing. And so while I'm stalking, like I was extremely tired. I did feel like the time was going by like so slow, you know. It was going by so slow. And then it was like I did not take a break, you guys. I did not take a break. Like they weren't mean or anything, but they were not like as welcoming either. As far as like telling me, you know, explaining everything that I needed to know. I was pretty much on my own that night. And so yeah, I did not take a break. Like nobody mentioned anything about a break to me. So yeah, they didn't mention anything about a lunch break or any type of break. Like they pretty much did what they wanted to do, because it was nighttime, not much people there. But you know, I didn't know that. You know, I don't know if y'all have like strict rules or not. Like I'm new here, it's my first night, and so they didn't tell me anything like that. Okay, anything like that. So yeah, like honestly, I don't even think I realized, to be honest, until like I was, you know, my shift was over, that I didn't take a break. So, but yeah, they didn't mention anything about that. So I was just there, pretty much working the whole time. And then they were like moving me around to like different like rows and aisles. Like, so one minute they want me to help this other girl like stack like tissues and stuff, toilet papers and stuff, and then the next they got me doing bags of chips and stuff. So yeah, it was a straightforward night, literally straightforward, just nothing but, you know, just moving around, and undoing the boxes and stuff. But after that, like, the main reason why I didn't return, because I was so tired. So yeah, I got off at like 6 or 7 that morning, y'all, and I was supposed to be back 10 p.m. that night. I was like, oh no, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work. I was so tired. So I went home and I went to sleep, and I, like, that one night threw me off for like a week, maybe 2 weeks, because, you know, my body was just not used to that. Listen, I don't drink, okay? I ain't never got drunk and had like a hangover, but if I did drink, I feel like that's what a hangover would feel like, y'all, because I was so sleepy, and I was sleeping so much. Like I said, I didn't go back that night. I didn't go back to work. That was it for me. So I was sleeping so much, you know, trying to catch up on sleep, and you know, I was sleeping and I would wake up and I would still be tired, still be sleepy. I'm like, oh my God, like, this got to be what a hangover feel like. Like, it was not giving. It was not giving. It did not feel good at all. But, you know, one thing about me is I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to, you know, I'm going to try. Where the heck is my pen going out? You know, I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to try, because, you know, you don't know unless you try. And I was looking for any opportunity for me to be more available to boost my career. If I get another red. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I just could not go back to doing a regular thing. So that's the second job that pretty much went wrong. So let's go into the third one, right? Again, I don't even know if this is in order, but we're gonna get into the third one. None of my red pens feeling good, but okay, we're gonna have to use this one. So let's get into this other one. So, all right. So it's like a family friend or whatnot, you know, that told me about this other job opportunity, you know. So I didn't see it on Indeed or anything like that. You know, it's just a family friend who let me know about it. So it was for a restaurant, right? It was for a restaurant, and so the friend was saying, like, you know, if I was looking for something, you know, and that they would basically put in a good word for me, and, you know, I could pick what position, you know, I wanted. So that was my impression. That was the idea I got. So, you know, so I go in for the interview. All right, let me tell you, it's 4 different people to this story, okay? So there's the family friend, there is the owner's significant other, and then the manager of the restaurant. All right, so there's 4 different people in this story, all right, and they all was telling me something different, y'all. All telling me something different. All right, so the family friend is telling me, yeah, you know, you come in, you can pick your position and whatnot. All right, so I'm like, cool. So I go in, I apply, I meet with the manager. So I meet with this manager, and, you know, I pretty much filled out an application, because, like I said, it wasn't on Indeed or anything. I had to go in and fill out the application. So I did that, and let me see what was next. Okay, so I did that, right? And so after I finished that, we went and, you know, we went into like the little office area, and, you know, she looked over it and everything, and she was talking to me about, you know, my experience and whatnot. So I never had any experience in a restaurant, nothing like that. So we were talking about that, and then she started telling me about, like, the office. She was talking like about the office, about, you know, where things are stored, and how she was gonna, you know, rearrange the office and do a new, like, get a new table, put an AC in there, and what, you know, whatnot, all this stuff as a whole. You know, it had nothing to do with me working a position. It had nothing to do with, like, the food. She was talking about my tech skills. Like, she was asking me if I had, like, good tech skills, and, you know, with computers and stuff. So she's talking to me about that, and so I'm under the impression, I'm like, okay, maybe this is, you know, she wants an assistant, like, you know, something like that, because of what she was talking about, right? So long story short, you know, that's pretty much how the interview went. We didn't talk about nothing about any other like position or any position at all. She was just telling me about making arrangements to the office and stuff like that. So, you know, a few days go by and whatnot, and they ended up like, they were kind of testing her out as a manager, so they didn't tell her that, you know, they had already knew about me and whatnot, because long story short, she never like called me to give me any type of position. So, you know, the friend talked to me and just told me to call, and I was supposed to give her like my, you know, what days and times I could come in and whatnot. Long story short, she ended up quitting by the time I came back. So, which I heard that they were planning on firing her anyway. Okay, one of my lights just went off. But anyway, I heard like they were planning on firing her anyway. So yeah, but she ended up quitting. And then so I was told by the friend, right, that I can go in and like, you know, test the water, test the job out, or whatever the case may be. So like I said, all right, I didn't tell y'all what the position that I wanted. Originally, I wanted to be the host, right? So the host is the person that, you know, when you come into a restaurant and they greet you and they seat you, you know, they you know, walk you to your table, and, you know, so that's what I wanted to do. But when I got there, you know, so I met with the owner, saw him, and, you know, so he was just out and about and whatnot. And then I met with the significant other, so I met her in the office. And when I get there, so I noticed that, you know, she's there, and that the manager was no longer there, and then that there was an assistant already there. So I was like, okay, well, that goes that, because like I told y'all, I was under the impression that, okay, maybe she's looking for an assistant. So I'm like, all right, so I'm not getting that position. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So, you know, I'm there, and I'm giving her, you know, all my information, you know, to put me in the system, my you know, all my personal information, name, social security number, my bank number, all of that stuff, right? So I do that, and she's telling me that the position was going to be like a busser. Okay, so if you've never worked for like a restaurant, don't know what that is. So like a busser is like the person that pretty much cleans the table, you know, collect all the dishes and stuff when people are done eating. You know, so that's what they have me doing. And then prior to even doing that, I was outside. The first thing that they wanted me to do was to go outside and like clean up for like this party, like this wedding event party that they had the night before. And so yeah, they hosted the event, and some of the guests were outside, and some of it was already clean, but they wanted me to help like finish clean everything. And mind you, they're just watching me like pretty much on the camera to kind of see like how I am, how I do, how I handle things. But you know, this is my first day. I don't know nothing about this place. I don't even know where, you know, everything go and whatnot. So yeah, they were just watching me and whatnot. And so y'all, I can tell you, it was hot. First and foremost, it was very, very, very hot that day. It was like, I want to say that was like in July. So yeah, it was very, very hot. And I ended up, I was just out there cleaning and whatnot. And so finally, the assistant girl, she came out to get me, and, you know, gave me another task to do, and that was the actual like bussing of the table. And like she was explaining what, you know, where everything go, like there's a certain bucket for this and a bucket for that and whatnot. And you know, after I scrape everything off and whatnot, I give it to the dishwasher girl. So I did that. Y'all, let me tell you, not only was it hot outside, but it was hot inside too. This was a small little restaurant that was serving like cuisines and little like Italian food, Italian meals and whatnot. So you know, that's one reason why I wanted to be a hostess, and I just wanted to, you know, greet people and sit them down, because I didn't know much about those food. It was stuff on that menu I couldn't even pronounce. You hear me? Like I'm being so for real. Like, so I didn't really want to be near the food and have people asking me questions about that, because I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't even know how to say it for real. You know what I'm saying? So I had to but, you know, what can I say? You know, I was trying to I was just trying to have something, find something that, you know, for that I could do. And then like the company, it did have like set hours as far as like, it didn't have like long hours. It was like a light little restaurant, so it didn't have, basically I could have made like my own separate real estate schedule around it. So you know, that's why I even took up the friend's offer. But so yeah, that went on. And then, but yeah, okay, where I left off, I was telling y'all it was so hot in there, right? It was hot inside because the place, I was saying, because the place is so small. But you know, it was very hot. And then I was back there in the kitchen, and you know, when you're cooking in a small work area like that, yeah, it gets hot easily and it gets hot fast. So y'all, I got so tired. Like I had to sit down, and then like the owner, he was nice about it and everything. You know, he offered me some water, and he offered me like some soda and whatnot. But I said, you know, no, I'll just take water. But yeah, I was there for like 2 hours. Yeah, I was like there for like 2 hours tops. And yeah, long story short, they pretty much like it was just a test run, right? So it was just a test run, and it didn't work out. It didn't. It didn't work out. It wasn't gonna work out for me anyway. Like there was no way I was gonna work in that environment. But like, you know, it was just so many things that was off. You know, like I said, the friend's telling me I can pick my position. I go in there, I meet the manager. She's talking about like some assistant level administrative stuff, and then she quit. And then the significant other is there giving me the busser position, which is not the position that I wanted. And then, you know, I mean, the owner was a nice guy, but the owner, he was like talking. Yeah, he did talk to me for a little while, and he asked, you know, if I had any experience. And, you know, I was telling him, no, you know, I didn't have any experience working in a restaurant. And, you know, he was like, that was good, you know, because he wanted to, you know, basically train me on their way specifically. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think he was looking for me to be more of an actual server. So I'm like, this is like 4 different things that's going on. So, but yeah, that ended up working out. So I left after that 2 hours, you know, they told me that they would call me and whatnot. And so obviously I knew I was getting that call. I didn't want that call because I didn't plan on going that anyway. But, long story short, like a few weeks or so, maybe like 2-3 months or so later, they ended up closing. Like, that's not funny, I'm not laughing at it. But, you know, just how things were going with me, I could tell, like, things weren't, like, organized, you know? So, yeah, you know, they ended up closing. So it's a new place there now. I don't know if it's the same owner. But yeah, that particular restaurant isn't even there anymore. So, I don't know, y'all. I don't know. After that is when like I stopped trying last year, and so that's when it really got discouraging. And y'all, I was so stressed about it. Yeah, because all three of those jobs that I talked about weren't even in my city. Okay, so where I live right now, I'm out like in the country. I live 20 minutes away from like the city and the city limits. But none of the positions that I applied for, none of those 3 positions were even in my city. You know, I was looking further out elsewhere, so I'm driving like 30 plus minutes out, you know, looking for jobs because those jobs were better and like higher, you know, had higher pay and stuff like that. So yeah, there you go right there. None of those ones were in my city. So let me tell you about the last one, but certainly not least, right? The last one I did was this year. It was last month, y'all. Changed everything for me. This little job that I'm about to talk about right here is the reason why I'm even doing this work from home. Is why I stopped looking. I don't plan on looking no more, honey. Don't even plan on looking no more, right? So, all right. Now, what I just said, y'all, I just told y'all, those other 3 were not in my city. Here I go. Find one in my city, y'all. And I should have known it's gonna be some BS, right? So, find one in my city. And, it was like a regular nighttime job. Not an overnight job, but a nighttime job. It was low, 10 hours a week. I would only be there like 5 days a week for 2 hours to help clean up, you know, for a retail store, grocery store, food line. So, you know, I see that, and so I look at it in a way where it's like, y'all know what I'm looking for by now. By now, I'm telling y'all I'm looking for something that's, you know, gives me more open and free, you know, freedom so that I can do my real estate stuff, right? So what I do, right, okay, so it's a nighttime position, right? I'll have all day to work on my real estate stuff, right? That's the plan. So I see the position, right? I saw it on Indeed and I applied. So, you know, I checked their website and everything, because sometimes, you know, you gotta check the website just to make sure that it's something that's actually available. So that's what I did, and the position was on their site, so I went ahead and went for that, right? So I do that, and I hear from the supposed regional manager, or like regional operations manager or something like that, right? And like 2 days later from when I applied. So then I applied on a Sunday and I heard back on a Tuesday. And so, you know, we talk on the phone and whatnot, right? We talk on the phone, and he tells me all about it, the position and whatnot, and, you know, the reality of it, you know, how it was low hours and stuff like that, which I was fine with. That's what I wanted. And so after that, you know, he pretty much made a decision, like, you know, he thought I would be a good fit and whatnot. So he sends over, you know, all the paperwork and stuff to sign through the company. So I do all of that. Well, I started on that, and then I noticed there was something wrong with like the information they had in terms of Texas. So they had North Carolina and South Carolina taxes, but I'm in South Carolina, so, but I could not skip the North Carolina one, so I stopped, and I believe I texted him and I let him know that, you know, I could not finish it right then. So he ended up calling, and so I explained what the issue was, right? So he said that he would make a phone call and get back to me. So once he did that, long story short, he didn't end up doing that until a few days later, and he was like asking if I needed any help like finishing it, because I didn't finish it, and I had to, you know, kind of remind him of why it wasn't finished. So so I explained it to him again, just letting him know that it was still an issue. So what he did was he just redid it, resent the information, the paperwork and whatnot, and so it was still there. The problem that I had was still there, and so he said that the whoever was responsible for that and could fix it would fix it at a later time, at a later date, you know, just for me to go ahead and fill it in, and they would correct it later. So I'm like, all right, so I do that, and y'all, for this to be the most like recent thing, it ain't all that fresh in my mind, but let me see. Now he had mentioned another like area before that wasn't in my city, and so I was telling him like I wanted to do the one in my city, and so yeah, he asked me that like prior on one of our phone calls, and then he asked me again like a few days, like maybe 2 weeks later, through text. And so yeah, I told him again, I'm like, yeah, I want to take on the grocery store in my city. He was like, you know, he did the little thumbs up through the message, right? So sent the thumbs up emoji. I'm like, all right, cool. Few days go by or whatnot. Now I look at the website, and on the website, like, it has like the process of how it works for the actual client. So for the actual like facilities that the company is going to clean it was a cleaning company. I was not hired, you know, like under Food Lion, which that was a place I was supposed to clean, but I was not hired under them. I was hired through the cleaning company. So but yeah, you know, I was hired. They had like this, you know, when I was filling out I did the background check first, and then yeah, they sent me the paperwork to fill out for onboarding. So I do that. Yeah, so I went on the website, and it showed me like how the process works for the client. So when they hire the cleaning company as a whole, how the process work and how they have to get all of the items and stuff, like the equipment and stuff, because you will be using the big machinery, like the little floor, like the scrubbers, the big thing that you have to push so it can scrub the floor. So they use equipments like that, and so you have orientation and all that stuff. They'll have to teach me how to train it. But okay, here's the thing. So I applied for the job. It was like the end of June, and so the 4th of July came, and I expected things to like be off and everything, and so, you know, I didn't hear nothing from them or anything about it, and so until like 2 weeks later, I still didn't hear from them. So I'm like, okay, by this time it's the 14th, and so I had finished my onboarding paperwork June 30th. So yeah, when the 4th came, I was like, all right, you know, I'm expecting things to be backed up because people were off and whatnot, and so HR probably ain't, you know, got my stuff in the system, because I'm logging into my account with them, and I'm seeing, you know, onboarding, like, new hire, so, you know, nothing was being updated and whatnot. So pretty much, like, yeah, on the 14th, I got in contact with him, with like the manager, the regional manager, and I texted him and I asked him, I was like, you know, what's the update on, you know, what's my status, what's my update, something like that. And he texted me like right then, the same minute I texted him, he texted me back, and he said, you know, that he would check once he was done driving. So I said, okay, cool. I ain't never heard from him since. So yeah, that was the 14th, y'all. Today is the 27th, July 27th. So let me see, what am I saying? So, you know, I called, shortly after that, I called like the HR, and they had like a, you know, where it's like they have different options, you know, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. So they had one option for like new hires, the HR department for new hires, and I called them, and they didn't answer, of course. And then I left a message, you know, just asking again about my status and whatnot. And so I never received a call back from them, and I only did that one time. I only called the HR department one time. I only, you know, reached out to the regional manager one time. After that, I said, I'm done with, you know, I ain't doing this. I ain't chasing no job. You know, I could have continued, you know, until I got some answers or whatnot. But at that point, I was like, it was already like making me stressed out and whatnot. And I'm like, once again, like I was putting another job ahead of my career. And because let me tell y'all, like my content on here was supposed to include that job. Like I believe I was going to have Tuesdays, or was it Thursday? One of those days I was supposed to like show me working. And so the theme on here wasn't going to be work from home. It was going to be something totally different. It was going to be something with working, but you know, it would have been from home because I would have had, you know, a regular 9 to 5, you know, just not the full like long hours. But yeah, so after that, y'all, after I called that one time and I left that message to him one time, I left it alone. Oh no, also Also, I did reach out and I've like found this email for the like billing, no, not the billing, but like for pay or whatnot. Because they have, the company has like this app or whatnot, and so I was reading over the paperwork, right? The paperwork for the company, and like I found like what app they use and what you know, for like where you can access your pay stubs and all that type of stuff, right? So I get in contact with that department, and so I asked the lady, I was like, and I sent the email and I asked about my access, because I didn't have access to the app. I had like a code, it's a special code that you put in for that company, and I had the code, but I didn't have like my own like username and password and whatnot. So you know, I asked her about that. I was like, because it said something about you have to ask for it or something like that, it had on the paperwork. So in order for you to like receive and retrieve your username and password, because it's different from the one that you have on onboarding. So I talked to her about that and whatnot, and so she asked me like, you know, for my name and the last four of my social, so that she can so that she could pull up you know, if I was in there, because she said she didn't see my name, so she wanted to double check. And she asked me if I had already started like working for them, and I said no, you know, my start date hasn't come yet. And so she was saying, okay, like basically if you have not started yet, you won't be in the system, because it's for like, you know, your access to your pay stub and stuff. So if I haven't started yet, you know, there's nothing for them to pay me. So I'm like, okay. But now also in there, I believe you're supposed to see like your schedule and whatnot. So that's another reason why I was asking. But yeah guys, it was yeah, so she basically told me like at that time I wasn't in the system, because I haven't started with them yet. And so, you know, I was like, okay. So, you know, she was the only person that actually, you know, was answering my questions and whatnot. So I was glad for that, and I was cool with that. And after that, like I was done with it. You know, I said, listen, I ain't nobody's female dog, okay? I always say that. I ain't nobody's that, all right? So whether there's money involved or not, I'm not running behind nobody, okay? I'm not running behind no job, whether it was a real job or a scam or whatnot. At the end of the day, for me, I said, all money ain't good money. So, you know, I don't care if there is money involved. I'm not chasing after it. I'm not chasing the opportunity. So I left it alone. After I didn't hear from him or the HR department, I left it alone. So yeah, after that, like I said, that's like 2 weeks ago, y'all. So after that, I just rearranged like my content and everything, what I plan to post, and I turned this into a work from home type of theme and whatnot. So that's what we doing now, baby. That's the path. Like I said, you know, every single one. That's 4. I done told y'all the stories of the 4 jobs. Not one of them, nothing that I went after like since my last Home Depot job has worked out. None of them have worked out. None. So at this point, it's like, all right, it's clear. That ain't my route no more. You know, it's just not. So, but let me say, for me, I guess my 9 to 5 days are over. So prior to Home Depot, okay, let me put it in order. So, let's see, I had a job. I was working at the movie theater. That was my first job. I worked at Dollar General, and the Home Depot. I think that was it pretty much. Other than the, you know, the ones that I just told you about and the one that I worked one night. Yeah, I think that's it. So apparently, you know, that's how I see it. That's how I look at it. That my 9 to 5 days are over. But what I'll say about me like doing this now, doing content creation and doing my real estate stuff, the good thing about it for me is that I'm not I'm not starting over from scratch. So that's the good thing. That's the part I like about it, because I already have like my channels and pages, all my social media stuff. Like I already have those available, and you know, I know some of the things that are, you know, that work and that help boost my pages and stuff. So in terms of that, you know, I don't look at it in a starting over type of way, because the reality is I've been working on this and, you know, just doing my own thing overall for the past 2 years. You know, like I said, nothing in this 2 years time frame has worked out. So at this point, it's nothing new to me. So that's just what it is. So if you have like questions about like, so what I'm gonna do now and income wise, I have old videos of me door dashing, and that's like my, you know, quickest, easy way. It's not my favorite way, but that is the only thing that I really do. I haven't done it in months. I want to say last year, not necessarily the beginning, but I would say between like maybe like April, May, June, July-ish of last year, I was doing DoorDash, and I don't think I've done it since, like, because it was right at that time in August that I stopped posting on these platforms, and that's when I was starting to work more on my real estate stuff. So yeah, y'all, so I kind of went full throttle into working on my real estate stuff. So I have not done DoorDash in a year now, but I may do it once it starts cooling down, because it starts picking up, like deliveries, stuff like that starts picking up when it's cooler, when people, you know, it's cold and people don't want to go outside. But right now it's still summertime, people are still out, so people are mainly getting everything themselves, you know, unless it's like a rainy day. So, but you know, I kind of, again, even when I do that, I don't do that in my city, because, you know, I go further out. I drive like 30 minutes out to where, you know, there's just a nicer environment, nicer people get bigger tips. So yeah, y'all, so if I really need some money, that's what I'll do. That's what I've done before, and you know, that's what I'll just continue to do, because y'all, my expenses, I don't have high expenses. My room here, I live with my grandma, you know, so I help her out with a lot of things. So yeah, I stay with her. So I don't have, you know, a house or an apartment or nothing like that in my name. I don't have a car. You know, if I need to do anything or go anywhere, I use her car. We share that car. Most of the time I'm driving it anyway, you know, especially like if she has like doctor appointments and stuff, I take her or whatnot. But yeah, so the car is paid off. It's just, you know, just pay the insurance and, you know, whatever else, maintenance and gas and whatnot. But yeah, so I don't have a car payment. I don't have any kids. So I literally have really 2 bills, if not 3, but so I have like 2 bills that are related to like my real estate stuff. One of them I don't really need. I haven't paid for this month because I didn't even need it this month. But and then I have to pay my brokerage, my real estate company that I'm under. So I pay that. That's a monthly fee. And then I have my phone bill. Now my phone bill, I am with, who am I with? I don't even think I have it on this phone. Oh, Mint Mobile. Yeah, I'm with Mint Mobile, and so with them, like, you pay in like quarters of whatnot. Like you can pay every 3 months, every 6 months, or every year. So I pay mine every 3 months. So you know, so I don't have to worry about paying again right now. So, you know, that's not really much of a monthly expense for me. So, you know, and all together, if I were to add all 3 of those bills, it would come out to $110. But like I said, I don't even pay the phone bill on a monthly basis. So, you know, really it's less than that. So keeping my expenses low is one of the reasons that, you know, that's one of the main biggest reasons I'm able to do this, is because I I don't have high expenses. So when I say those are the only things I pay, those are the only things I pay, other than, you know, things that I need, specific groceries or whatnot, hygiene products or whatnot. But other than that, no, there's nothing else. I'm not subscribed to anything, no Netflix, no none of that. Like nowadays, y'all, like I barely even got time to even watch TV for real. You know, I got so much stuff that I'm working on, so much stuff to do. So I cut off most of my TV time anyway. But yeah, yo, that's all I have. But I'm telling you guys, like, I'm used to it now. But like in the beginning, it definitely was not easy for me to, you know, have to keep going through this, because I did expect to be further. But it's like now I don't even, you know. Now I'm really fully focused on this, just my content creation stuff and my real estate stuff. Like that's all I haven't launched my real estate service yet, but that's what I'm working towards now. So yeah, you know, that's the main thing. So yeah, you know, it's been a battle. It's been a battle. Some days, you know, I don't know. Honestly, now I don't even think about it. You know, I don't even think about how I'm gonna make it, because, you know, I look at what God has done and how He has kept me able to not be working for the past 2 years. So, you know, He's made it happen for me for 2 years. So He's kind of shown me that I gotta stop, you know, thinking about that and worrying about that in a financial approach. Because, you know, sometimes you come across people who say, you know, that, you know, you don't need money, you don't need finances, you need God. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Because some way, somehow, by Him, my bills do get paid, you know. So that's what I go off of. And that's just where I'm at right now. So right now, I really don't deal with the doubt and delays anymore. I just move with it at this point. At this point, I just move with it. So, but that's everything, y'all. Those are all the job stories. Those are all the things that, you know, well, that's just the jobs. I mean, it's other things that, you know, went on in my life, you know, a lot of other things. I have older videos. I spoke on some of those things, you know, prior to now. But, you know, yeah, that was just the jobs. I mean, that was just the jobs that wasn't going right. But I did finish my cards, you guys. So I just get a glimpse of those. I made them nice and colorful. But yeah, guys, that's the end of this. And I gotta say, like, I like doing these videos because it's like, it helps me be more productive for sure. Because I'm doing like a week worth of video just today. Yesterday I did 4 YouTube videos. And then I also made my new intro and outro yesterday as well, that you'll see on this video. So yeah, you guys, so I got all that stuff done. So I'm excited about, you know, just boosting my productivity and getting these stuff done even while I'm doing my recordings. So it's helping me, and I'm glad to be here doing it. You know, I'm always glad to come on here and share my story. It really don't bother me, like, it's all said and done now, you know. So all I can do is move on. So that's how I do it, that's how I handle it. And but yeah, you guys, you know, I'll have more like little things like this where I talk about, you know, my downfalls, because everything isn't wins, you know. That is the name of like my theme on here, working woman wins. But it ain't always wins, you know. You don't always go up, y'all. But yeah, I don't have no problem coming on here and telling my full story, telling the real story, talking about the downfalls and the downhills and the battles and whatnot. But yeah, I just keep pushing. By the time I come on here and I tell the story, just know it's already said and done. It's already said and done. So you know, I don't look at it in the same way as a bother or a battle anymore, you know. I just be done with it. But yeah, you guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I enjoyed getting my work done, getting something done. It was more stuff I was supposed to do in the video, but I ended up just doing that so I could keep it, so I could just continue the story and not have to, you know, have any interruptions or anything like that. I hope you guys enjoyed this story time, and I'll see you guys in the next one.